more than 80% of different organizations given an information that they already integrate artificial intelligence in their work processes, but at the same time, something like 25% of employees are saying that they're really ready to do it. They understand what are expected from their side, and they know how to do it efficiently and align it with the business goals. The deal between the BMW and Figure AI, they already have a deal for 100,000 of the robots that should replace their real workers on the factory. And this is the reality. So we can do something with that.
All right, guys. So today we have Marina Morgan, who is the founder of the Morgan Impact, a Silicon Valley-based coaching firm that's helping founders and leaders to scale with clarity. She's an organizational psychologist, a Stanford and Y Combinator alum, and the creator of AIQ, which is a framework for assessing AI readiness in modern companies. Marina, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. I'm so happy to be here today, and I'm really inspired with our conversation because I believe that neurophysiology and coaching is in the prime era in our artificial intelligence period on the market.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So where are you seeing, I guess your company, AIQ, is, primarily focused on implementing AI within different companies. Where are you really seeing some of these biggest areas of opportunity?
So my IAQ framework, I'm measuring readiness with AI integration through the human perspective, because based on the different research and the results of the integration artificial intelligence in huge corporates or at the startups, adaptation of the employee is one of the main obstacles on this integration. And we have really interesting numbers here, because more than 80% of different organizations given an information that they already integrate artificial intelligence in their work processes, but at the same time, something like 25% of employees are saying that they're really ready to do it. They understand what are expected from their side, and they know how to do it efficiently and align it with the business goals. So my main idea in AIQ framework is to understand what's the aspect of influence for the effectiveness of using artificial intelligence through the human perspectives. That's combine adaptation, strategic thinking, decision making. Also, we're right now working on some separate assessment tool for their leaders, because they need another competence to help their employees and their teams to integrate artificial intelligence. And also, based on different research, those companies and that leaders are really help their team with AI integration. They do it much more resultativeness than those organizations where leaders are not deeply involved in this process. So leaders really need new competences and new skills in this era.
So I guess my first instinct is like, I assume there's like a couple main ways that you can integrate AI. So I assume there's like replacing people in seats, which can save a lot on expenses. But there's also using AI for technology that doesn't already exist within a company that can help make the company even more efficient. And then I assume there's also utilizing different softwares and different AI softwares to just make things also significantly more efficient. Where are you primarily seeing like the most use cases, and those use cases that are having like the biggest effect on some of these organizations you guys are working with?
So it's a big question, actually. The first answer will be about the employee replacement. And here you're absolutely right. There are a lot of roles that can be easily replaced with artificial intelligence tools and also with robotic technologies. And we already see these examples on the market. For example, the deal between the BMW and Figure AI. Yeah, they already have a deal for 100,000 of the robots that should replace their real workers on the factories. And this is the reality. So we can do something with that. Also, different call centers and workers who are occupied in the service services in different organizations, they already replaced with artificial intelligence because it's much more resultant than employee. But there are a lot of different areas. The combination of human professionalism and artificial intelligence given much more better result than artificial intelligence without control from the human perspective. I can say that there are specific industries there it could work better. I can say that in different industries we have different protocols and different scenarios how it can be used. For example, in healthcare industry, this is one scenario. In manufacturing, another one. You're absolutely right about the software, because right now we can see crisis on the market because the SaaS companies and software companies that was the unicorns during the COVID period and right after it, they were in their prime era. After their last release from Tropic, they really lost the price of their stocks, and we can see it on the markets. And it looks like the market are waking up and think, "Oh my God, really? It's true. Artificial intelligence is here." And right now, a lot of companies who previously used different SaaS solution and pay for the subscription monthly or yearly, it doesn't matter. They really right now have the tools to optimize their protocols and their processes using artificial intelligence tools. At the same time, I think that on the highest level, specifically if we're speaking about the innovation, the combination of human creativity and artificial intelligence, effectiveness in working with the tons of different information can be very helpful. And if we're speaking about the innovation, it is not only technological companies. I think it's about the companies in all industries. But it depends on what is the strategy of this company. So that's my more or less answer. We can dive very deep into it to discuss each industry separately, but I think in general, my answer is like this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, how do you see like the?
Just a sec. Give me time to ask a question for you. What do you think about it? And in your opinion, what will be the last industry where artificial intelligence will replace the human employee?
You know, it's really I've been thinking about it, like software, and I mean we're on the front end. Brahim and I have been building, using different software tools like anti-gravity, Cursor, Lovable, all the things that have been released. And so we're building software, and for non-developers that are now able to build full softwares, and to see the rapid increase in speed and efficiency, I feel like really anything that is reliant on being primarily online in the next couple of years is going to be really at jeopardy for people's roles. I mean, AI is going to be, it already makes such good decisions, and I just see this trend where whether it's software, whether it's marketing, whether it's copywriting, it's like, how can you really beat the AI? And so when you also then look at new softwares that just came out where, you have like Open Claude, which was, first name Claude.bot, and then, it's been going through the name changes, and it's now, it's almost like AGI in a sense, where it's like, it's a remote software that can do things. You can assign it to do things, and it can, pay for things. It can, like, it's like an employee. It's really wild to see, when you think, in a couple years in the future, the exponential rate of that. I feel like anybody that really sits behind a desk to do things, behind a computer is going to have to really adapt very fast. Now, that said, there still are, a lot of jobs I feel that are in the physical world that are going to be really difficult to replace. Plumbing and construction and, things that are like more hands-on, things that are more, and there's definitely machinery and things that are coming, 3D printing, all sorts of stuff that is, going to disrupt that. But I feel as though those those, in my perspective, are probably the ones that are going to be late to be disrupted. The real challenge here is that, I mean, you've got the Optimus by Tesla, and that is supposed to be launched by the end of next year, and it's supposed to have the technology to be the best surgeon in the world, times infinity, because it's going to have all the intelligence of all the surgeries combined. And so people are going to be able to purchase this and use this. And so now you've got, in the physical is also going to be a jeopardy. And so I would say in the near term future, I think it's a lot of things that are related to being on a computer screen, but I don't know. I don't know what the future entails. I think it's really interesting to see how fast AI is adapting. And it's coming to a place that I'm seeing where if you are not fully integrating AI into your business, you are there are other companies that are doing that, and a company that has AI fully integrated versus a company that is not fully integrated with AI is going to get destroyed. And I know Elon Musk gave the example where he said, we used to have skyscrapers filled with people that are crunching numbers all day, and then it turned into spreadsheets and all the things. And so if you have one column in a spreadsheet where somebody still has to enter manually information versus a company where everything's automated 100%, that company is going to have a infinite advantage over the person where there still has to be input of a certain person. And so that's kind of like the level of scale that we're seeing here. And so I don't know. It's a loaded question. I just know that, I am trying as much as possible to figure out how to utilize AI as fast as possible with all the companies that I'm working with, because that really is the biggest competitive advantage I see in any business right now is figuring out how to get the right AI integrated as fast as possible, so you have a real competitive advantage. And the faster the people and the companies that adopt faster are going to have an advantage so much faster than everybody else. And so it's not a matter of if you're integrating it, it's a matter of how fast are you able to integrate it so you can get the advantage, and how can you continue to keep that advantage. I think the real way to win today is going to be how it's not a matter of are you adapting it. It's a matter of how good are you at integrating the latest technology and adapting on that. And are you able to do that faster than the competition? And if you can, I think that is how companies are going to be able to win in today's day and age, with this insanely disrupting technology.
I mean, I think I have an interesting perspective on it. I mean, just yesterday, obviously, we were like a growth marketing agency with lead gen and a lot of stuff. So for our lead gen process, to make it better for us and for our clients, we were discussing getting a tool to kind of do scraping and stuff like that. And we were kind of in the process of looking for a tool that already exists. So what I did is just launch an agent, hey, make me this. And I just gave it a description of that. And 20, 30 minutes later, I have the tool. I don't have to pay a subscription for it. And it's it's instant. It took me less than the time that it would take me to go and look for it. And the agent just made it for me, and I could just start using it right away. So the level of accessibility that we have to technology right now is insane. And obviously, just by not knowing about it or not adopting it, you're already ages behind people that do. And it is not easy to keep up with it, because every single hour, every single day, there is something new that just launched that you gotta learn. Not necessarily fundamentally different from what you already learned, but it's still an overwhelming amount of technological development. And I don't necessarily see specific industries that are not going to be disrupted by this. I mean, even plumbing, for example, there could be just an Optimus robot that comes to your house. You just open the door
That
to
can
it.
live
It goes
in your
to into
house.
this thing. That could live in your house. So you could just tell, hey, fix this thing. Why would you need a plumber to come? And especially seeing like small developments like agent skills, for example, where you can just give like a markdown file to an agent and it just learns a new skill, just becomes a legal consultant. It becomes, I don't know, like a web designer with just like a description of that skill. Hey, these are the best practices for this skill. And just reads that, then it becomes that. So it changes its whole personality as if it was a totally different LLM. So that to me is just like, the pace of development is so fast that it's gonna reach the physical jobs that we're thinking right now are not gonna be disrupted really quickly.
So you touched so many interesting aspects here. I think the simple answer about the replacement right now, only right now, is in those industries, the using artificial intelligence is more expensive than using like labor resources. They will develop in another lane. And we still have industries like this because using artificial intelligence is pretty expensive, specifically if you have a huge company. Another limitation that we have here is really electricity, because the big tech not so long time ago announced that they're planning to invest it like hundreds of $billions in the infrastructure for artificial intelligence and data centers like Meta and other companies, Amazon, all of them are planning to invest this money. But there is no correlation between their level of expectation and the real accessibility for electricity. I think this year will be very interesting speaking about the industry at all, because Elon Musk planning to go to IPO with the SpaceX, and the main strategy that they announced is that we are planning to build data centers at space, and probably it will change industry a little bit. But I don't know. Elon loves to promise a lot of impressive, interesting things, but sometimes they need some extra time to implement this into the reality. Generally, I definitely agree with you. I think we still have this economical limitation in this example that I provided to you. That in those industries and specifically in those countries, their salaries is not so high, and it is much more easy and cheaper. Still not integrate artificial intelligence because it's more expensive when just people that you can hire to work on the fields or to do something like this. But generally speaking, I believe that pretty soon our reality will be absolutely not like we have it right now. For example, I'm living in San Francisco, and for 2 years we already have the self-drive cars, Waymo, like a taxi service. And we already have a data that the tourists that's coming to San Francisco, they are using Waymo much more often than Uber or another taxis. And just let's picture how it can change. Also, any moving services or truck services, they can also be replaced with robotic cars pretty fast. I mean, when I'm saying pretty fast, it's mean 3 or 5 years. And it is very interesting point, and I'm working with my clients here because sometimes we have very interesting and successful and promising startups that suggest different solution for the manufacturing or for another services, and they're facing with the problem that people don't want to use their technologies. We always have situation like this. I mean, the innovation and implementation of innovation is always tough thing, and we always have these ambassadors of our innovation and those people who are against it, who don't want to do it. For example, one of my clients, they developed very interesting AI agent for the delivery services for the trucks mostly, and they developed really easy interface, and the operators who are responsible for the navigating of this truck's car, and at the end of the day influencing for the income of organization, they didn't want to use it. I mean, it was so easy, just push one button, and they didn't want to use it. And so you have your investment, CEO of the company, I really would like to work with you, but when you're speaking with the people, they just don't want to do it. They don't know how. And we can speak a little bit about why it is so and what can we do here, like professionals in a coaching industry, for example, or those professionals who understand how people are thinking and why they don't want to do something in this innovation world. In spite, we have so many taglines like, AI will kill your profession. You need immediately to develop UI skills. In spite of all this stuff, people still don't want to use it. And it's very interesting why.
Well, I think there's a couple things. I think first off, people don't love change. First and foremost, most people don't love change. Second off, learning these new tools and all the things is annoying unless there's really good training. But I think there's two things I'll really say here is that companies need to recognize the importance of utilizing this insane advantage that they can utilize, and also know that if they're not on the cutting edge, they are competing against other companies who are. And this isn't like 10% increase type stuff. This is like takeover market disruption. This one actually used AI and is now absolute dominant market leader, or completely changed the market entirely, versus this is left in the dust. And so that's kind of like the risk. And so I think if you're a founder and you're a leader, like, I think it's important to really double down and enforce this. It makes sense. Like, people do understand that their jobs are sort of in jeopardy as technology becomes more advancing, but they don't have to necessarily look at that. I'm a firm believer that if you can make yourself extremely useful, you can become irreplaceable as an employee. And with AI tools, you essentially make yourself, if you're using them properly, you can make yourself 50 times more productive than you otherwise could manually. So yeah, arguably you could say you could lose your specific job, but your job could change based upon the different responsibilities you take on, because you now can be way more productive because you can use tools to make you more productive. So I think that, yes, it's scary to think that people don't like change, and change is coming, and that comes with them potentially losing their job if they don't adapt. I say you need to adapt. You need to embrace the change. You need to embrace the technology. And the cool thing is that we now live in an era where I truly believe technology is so good that we can build things infinitely faster. I'm hearing
it's something with the sound, yeah.
Echo. Hang on one second.
Yeah.
Let me see it. What's the door? You're living in an age where we can build things infinitely faster than we ever could. And again, I'll just double down on, I think it is so important to be on the cutting edge of utilizing these new technologies as they come out, because one upgrade of technology, of software, a month after another could be 10x the results of the software a month ago. Perfect example is us using softwares like Lovable. When we started building our apps, we started using Cursor or Lovable. Anti-gravity drops. Anti-gravity is a multi-orchestration tool where you have, instead of one AI tool going out and trying to make changes, you can now blast off 50 simultaneously. That's like that. Like, the amount of speed you can now execute with that versus a month ago when I could only use Lovable is now insane. It's like so much more effective. And so, again, I can't stress this enough. Like, I think it's really important for founders that have real organizations, in order to keep their competitive edge and really to keep their business afloat in the future. I think it's just, there's nothing more important than figuring out how to get on the cutting edge of AI, how to integrate it, and how to be a leader in that domain. Otherwise, you're really putting yourself at risk.
The process of learning takes a long time for stuff like this when you don't know much about it. The problem that happens is people often just ignore it for like a month or two, and they're like, whoa, I mean, yesterday, for example, like OpenAI dropped 5.3 codex, and Anthropic dropped 4.6, I think they're at right now with Opus. So you need to go try those as soon as you can to learn what's new with those, to learn how to utilize those new changes better. Because if you don't, they're going to drop something else and you missed out of learning this. So you're going to learn all of this just to get to the updated kind of state of knowing like the latest and the greatest. So keeping up is like feels like work, but it's worth it.
Yeah, and just to ping off that, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to know everything about Opus and ChatGPT and all the softwares and anti-gravity and this and that and that. But if you're a designer and you're using
learn what's relevant to you.
You're using Figma, you should always be on the lookout. What's the newest tool that's coming out? And you should be trying to try the new tool. If you're a web developer, a software engineer, and you're not utilizing tools like anti-gravity to combine your existing skill with now AI technology to make you more effective, like you're crazy. You're insane.
It's not even combine, it's augment in most cases.
Guys, okay, I will give you an example from this is from my client's case, and it will be very interesting. How will you solve this problem? And then I will tell you how we solve this problem. So I work with an investment firm here in Silicon Valley. Pretty successful, exist on the market more than 20 years. There were three co-founders there. Couple, wife and husband, and the tech director, and they created this company together. So one of the co-founders, those who was a husband in the couple, and CTO, of course, they were involved in our industry, and they were absolutely open to integrate it in their CRM, to their communication with the client, to their market research, and so on. But she was responsible for the client's communication. She told, I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to use, this is not for me. She'd not even used ChatGPT for recipes or something like this. And she was definitely against any of innovation. In spite everything that we're speaking about here is absolutely obvious, and you're absolutely right. You're really insane. It sounds weird. I can also provide you various of examples when leaders are not open to it. I mean, you like a young founder or you like a software engineer, you can be very integrated in it. But if your leader don't want to do it for some reason, includes they don't want change, they have too much on their plate, and so on and so, then don't understand why they need to use it. What you can do with this, like employee? You can do nothing. And these two co-founders, another one, her husband and the CTO, they came to me and they told about this problem and asked, can we do something with that? Because they need her. They need her being involved. They need her to be on the same page with them. My question for you guys, just imagine that you have a case like this. What would you do?
I mean,
it's an interesting problem.
Yeah. And this is not only one problem. I can share you various of situations like this. And for example, when I'm living here in Silicon Valley, for me, it's absolutely obvious that you should use artificial intelligence. It is everywhere. Even when you are running or hiking, people that working together with you, they are discussing artificial intelligence every time, everywhere, in sauna, in spa, at restaurant, because this is Silicon Valley. Everybody is speaking about the technologies all the time, small talks, everything. But I give you another example, and then we come back to this case. I was in New York City. I'm working like a director of strategic development in New York City Opera. This is kind of my philanthropic job, and I really love it. It's very interesting. So, I was in a dinner. It was for the donors of Metropolitan Opera. Very interesting people, as you can imagine, cream of la cream of Manhattan society. And I like a Silicon Valley girl. I have this habit to communicate with the people on the conferences and dinner. Like, for example, oh, hello, what are you doing? My name is Marina. This is what I'm doing. Let's just talk a little bit about it. In New York City, you have a little bit another scenario of the communication. We can, again, speak about it, but I think this is not the topic of our conversation. So, and I'm just chatting with one guy. He was probably something around 50 years old. So, I asked, what are you doing? And he told me, I'm owning the hedge fund and we are working with the manufacturing companies. We're buying the part of the company and then we are developing the factory and when we're selling it. pretty easy scam. Very successful company. And at that period, there was a huge announcement in the market about the robotics, about the replacement, about this BMW deal that I've already mentioned. And I thought, oh my God, right now I will impress this guy and share my knowledge about his industry. And I started to talk about the robotics and ask, how did you change your strategy? Based on this information, what you're planning to do with those companies in that you invested. And he told me, I was so surprised. He told me, I'm definitely not using artificial intelligence because this is not safety for our planet. I don't even use electricity at night because I don't want to bring some damage to our planet. That's why I'm not using it. Can you imagine how strongly I was surprised? And there are a lot of people that are in the top position in different companies that don't really, they still are not interested in it for various reasons again. So this is just one of the examples that I face with every time. Let's jump again into this example with the investment firm here in Silicon Valley. Just imagine this is your client. You need to sell amazing artificial intelligence agent specifically for their type of the business, and your solution absolutely perfect. You have 3 co-founders, and one of the co-founders absolutely don't want to do something with artificial intelligence tools. What will you do?
So, listen, I'm not necessarily an expert at this because I haven't been put in this situation. However, I would say my approach, this is just what I would assume is I would just try to find alignment in values of the leaders. And I would just try to have a discussion of mediation of, hey, we need to have a real conversation here of the growth of the company, and you're one of the leaders, and we all have to be on the same page. Otherwise, we're going to have friction, and that's not good. And we might have to figure out another alternative as far as, who takes each role. But, we have to get the founders aligned. We have to get the leaders aligned. And if we can't get the leaders aligned, we have to figure out something else that where we can put another person in place, or change roles so that we can have alignment. And so I think it would first be like more of a discovery of, why, is so-and-so party against it, and kind of painting the vision of why it's really important, and, try to get the alignment. And if it's not there, listen, I don't know, because I don't know the current situation. I don't know if, there is a possibility of replacing that person, if there is a possibility of changing roles and certain, duties that do require more AI to another person that can handle it, to then have that person stay in her lane. Sure, she doesn't have to, adopt to the AI, but it's not as big of a conflict. I don't know exactly the specifics, but I would say my go-to approach, I'm a big transparency alignment type of person. That's just who I am. That's my leadership style. I don't command and say, this is my way or the highway, get out of here. I'm more of, hey, we need to kind of make sure we're all on the same page. And if not, we have to solve that problem. But I'd rather solve this problem, which I think is a less difficult problem to solve, which is, hey, why don't we figure out how to get you on the same page? Because I think the problem of having to replace you because you can't get on the same page is a more difficult problem. So long as that person's, still good within that role. I mean, if that person's already not performing well and they're considering, potentially replace that person anyways, and they don't want to do AI, it makes it a lot easier. But if they are a fit and they are a founder, I think it's more of an alignment conversation. And that's a difficult conversation to have at times, but there's more difficult conversations to have for sure, like way more difficult conversations. My family has experience in succession planning where there is, one family member that wants to sell the business and retire, but the son owns a piece, and the, wife, the cousin is, involved, and she's asked. There's this family drama. And so I would argue some of those problems are a little bit hairier sometimes than just an alignment problem. But that's just how I would approach it, how my brain works. I'm curious how you did handle it, Marina.
Would you like to add something before I will give you an answer? What did we do with this?
I mean, my perspective would be, I've definitely seen the other end of the spectrum, and it's literally like people that used AI enough that they trust AI more than people in a lot of cases, which I think makes sense because AI has proven itself during the years. For this case, one of the possible solutions I see is like launching the AI agents and keep the person going on their lane, then comparing the two and showing them actual KPIs and results to compare. I don't think that's the best idea because I don't know how they would feel, but that's my thought. But I would definitely ask ChatGPT for suggestions.
And not only, I'm right now using this quorum of different AI tools on my Perplexity, because you can use this tool like a quorum and they started to speak with each other, and it's pretty funny. So if we're speaking about the founder, you're unable to just fire the founder, because if your employee don't want to use artificial intelligence, everything is easy. You're saying, okay, you don't want to do it, no problem. I will find a person who would like to do it and would like to do what I want. But if we're speaking about the co-founders, it's much more complicated. And I'm working with the co-founders, with the co-founders conflicts, and this is also another interesting topic that we can speak today about. But in this case, you are 100% right, Jake. You need to find kind of the alignment with the values of this co-founder, and the values of each person. It's not only about the business. First of all, in this case, I try to understand what is the problem. I mean, why she doesn't want to do it. And one of the things that we found, that her communication with the clients, this is an amazing way for her to feel that she's useful, that she's involved, that she's in the business. And these communications mean so much to her. And she didn't want to replace it with AI agent. Inspired, it will be much more interesting for the firm. And the first thing that we need to show here is to suggest the solution what will keep her in line, that will keep her at the same track that she wanted, and probably do it a little bit easier for her and gave her more opportunities for communication. And we emphasize that you can spend less time emailing with your clients and more time meeting with them in person. And it was a great argument for her, and we just demonstrate how we can do it. Another case, this is my recommendation for each founder or leader who are facing this problem like this, when, for example, very important people in your team don't want to use AI in those way that you want it. As I mentioned, she didn't use AI at all, even for kind of easy things like recipes or, I don't know, fitness routine, whatever we use it for. And our main goal was here to involve her in artificial intelligence sphere, to find those tools that will be interesting for her. And she's a mom of 5-year-old boy. And as you know, do you have a kids or nephews or nieces? Doesn't matter. Okay. Kids really like to draw. And you probably saw this amazing drawing, like very weird lines like, Mom, this is you, Daddy, this is you, something like this. And we did it with the help of her husband. So we collected the several pictures that her little boy drew. And based on this, using the Gemini, we created the video, the cartoon movie dedicated to her. And it was like, just imagine it. You see like those your kid created, just alive and speaking with you. And this is kind of adventure. We wrote the scenario with the support of husband. This is very personalized approach, if you can understand. And you're unable to scale it. But when we showed it to her, she saw several things here. First of all, it was a deep alignment with something that very important for her. Another thing, she understood that if she will not develop her AI literacy, it will be very difficult for her to have a real contact with her son. And this was a huge argument in this case. And she started to experimenting with artificial intelligence, not with the integration agent in their CRM system, but there's very simple tools that she can do together with her son. And it was great. The results was great. Probably several weeks we spent just to suggest her different tools for creativity together with her kids. And next step was to suggest something for the business, like you can do more with somebody who really means a lot for you. Let's try to do something like within your business. And in general, different research includes like McKinsey and Pricewaterhouse. They are reporting as the result of 2025 and different corporative integration of artificial intelligence that those companies who have some playground or some lab for experimenting, they have better results with AI integration instead of those companies who just trying to integrate it hierarchically. Like, for example, guys, you just need to do it. In other way, will disappear from the market, because psychologically there is interesting correlation between level of responsibility and level of expectation and the resultativeness of AI integration. And as higher your expectation, as higher your responsibility, is lower the speed with that you are able to use artificial intelligence result with the great results that you expected. And I think this is very important because most of my clients, they're entrepreneurs and C-level leaders, and of course they're thinking in that they're a business way. Like, this is obvious, we will disappear from the market, and you're 100% right. But sometimes it doesn't matter. For example, she already has enough money, and she already feels good. I mean, in this case that we're speaking about, her co-founders would like to develop. Her co-founders would like to scale the firm, and I will give you a secret. It's not a secret, of course, but for most of the people, business is not the way only to earn money. Business is the way for communication, for some creativity, for realization, for implementation of your ideas, to feel yourself meaningful or useful. There are a lot of different motivation when we are owning business, why we're running business. And it's very important to understand it about yourself and specifically about your co-founders when you are in a business. So.
Wow, that's a really interesting way of solving that. Oh, Dick,
yeah, that's super.
As
so
I
you
mentioned,
basically linked it to a personal side of her to make it make sense, then slowly go to the business side.
And it will be faster, that because if person don't want to do something, it's not because this person bad or something like this. And you, Jake, were absolutely right. Was absolutely right, because it's very difficult for people to learn something new. It's not because they're bad. This is our neuroplasticity. It works in this way. This is our type of thinking. If something is okay and working good for us, our brain don't really want to change it, and changes are always going through the pain. And if you know it, and you know how to support yourself, and you know what is going on with you neurophysiologically, and you know some tips how to support you, it will be easier. But it changes, specifically big changes, they're always going through some pain period. For example, I didn't have a driver's license before because I didn't need it in my country. And here in the United States, but living in the United States, you're unable to live without the car. It was pretty challenging for me at my age just to get this skill. And I believe like you're living here, it's very weird to you because everybody around you have a driver's license. But for various reasons, I didn't have it. And when I learned it, it was, oh my God, I think the level of adrenaline in my blood was the highest fall of my life. And it was my first ride on the highway. But I know it. And I'm sometimes telling myself, I'm going through the change. I'm going to the change, even through the pain, because I know that it's always painful. And if you're interested in it, in this change, like a founder or co-founder, this is normal thing. But don't expect from your employee that they will be interested in it in the same level. I mentioned when we spoke with you before, but we have some differences. I mean, the entrepreneurial and non-entrepreneurial brain, and we can again speak about it a little bit. But in general, don't expect that people in your team should watch on the way for business development with the same eyes like you have. And sometimes you need just to help them a little bit, and the results of that will be much more easier and faster than you can do if you will be directly saying something like, guys, so if you will not do it, all of you will be fired. Of course, we can fire a lot of people specifically right now, but for this year, I think for probably next 10 years, much more interesting will be to combine and to integrate artificial intelligence tools for your very interesting and successful and professional employee.
So, Rina, how are you typically integrating some of this AI with your clients? Are you actually the one that's helping to integrate the AI? Are you coaching them to figure out which type of AI to integrate? How are you really working primarily with your clients to help them as much as they can towards integrating this AI?
It's a great question. Actually, I'm always prefer to develop some system that will work even without me, and this is my main approach. In general, I'm right now we're still collaborating my AQ tool, and we will do it for all the lifetime of my product because everything changes is changing pretty fast, and of course the part of the assessment is the level of AI intelligence, and you need to update it day by day, and as much more companies will be in my methodology, it will be better for the collaborating of the methodology. But right now, I already am able to start with the assessment. And what is the AIQ? This is the number that shows you how what is the level of readiness of your company for AI integration for different perspectives. Based on this assessment, I can see where we can have some problems because sometimes it's just the level of AI literacy. And here we always suggest a different approach. I have a huge network of my collaborators with that we can do it. And sometimes we're working together with a human resource department because it's great if the company have kind of L&D department or training and development department. But of course, the startup, you don't have something like this. Sure. And I'm playing this role typically for them. I can give you an example. This is in good way describes my approach because I'm trying to use kind of product development approach here. And we are always creating something like we have the customer journey map, right? And we are working with employee journey map. And in this case, it's very good to involve in this group the representatives of different departments of the organization. Because, for example, marketologists use artificial intelligence in one way, software engineer in another way, people from sales in the third way. But we need to create kind of the solution, the common space where all of them can work together. And we are starting always with finding where is the gap, where is the problem. Is this about adaptability? Is this about the culture? Is this about the processes? Is this about the intelligence? If the problem is in the level of knowledge, it's the easiest thing because you can just create some work group and share it. It depends again how the business organized. If we're speaking about the processes, in my opinion, this is one of the most complicated things because, we don't really recognize it, but we have our habits to use different infrastructure, even the email, even the CRM system in that we're working, even kind of Asana or Trello, depends on what you're using for the task management and project management. And when you're adding kind of artificial intelligence tools or kind of agents, all of you people need to change the habits, not how to work, but how to communicate with each other. And typically founders are not thinking about it in this way, that our infrastructure is the way how our employees are communicating with each other, how they're working together. And my beloved approach, and if the founder or my client, like it can be a business leader, I agree with this approach, it is always the best. You're creating the work group with the representatives of different departments, and they are together are building the employer journey map, how they will use these tools, these agents together. And this is very interesting. They interviewing each other, like using kind of deep interview that we're typically using when we would like to know something about the client, just to know more about each other. Because if you're a marketologist, you're not deeply thinking about what a software engineer in your team doing with the vibe coding, because this is absolutely not your field of interest. Or for example, if you are working at the sales, you don't even thinking about what your marketologist is doing. And when you starting to understand it, how it works for different people in your organization, this is the best way how you can to recreate the processes in your firm. And the effectiveness of creating this common field of integration of the same tool for all of this will be much more interesting in this case.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I forgot my question. I had a question.
I can share with you one case that is one of my favorite one. Would you like me to do it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It was the tech company here in Silicon Valley. with it was something like 200 employee and 40 engineer, and of course each of this engineer, they use their own tools, I mean, outside the work. And founder came to me with the request, I would like to create some common space for them. I'm ready to pay for it, we have enough money, but I don't know how to involve all of them at the same field, at the same space, because of course they have this common space, it's very easy, but people just didn't use it in those way that he expected. And we created very interesting approach here. Of course, I did some kind of interviews with several of them, and you always know some leaders in the teams who will influence for another one. And if these leaders will start to do something, probably another people will just follow this leader. So I spoke with several of them, and we created a very interesting challenge for all the team. You need to create a scenario for the video game, and this video game should reflect the preferences of all the team members. For example, if you want to have a dragon, there should be a dragon. There should be scenarios for the fight, blah, blah, blah. And for the 3 weeks, you should work here together in creativity or this and creating the game world. And the result of this should be the video that just presents this game and telling the story about this game. Like, for example, we can find on the YouTube when you would like to know more about some kind of the game. And the only one thing were there, you should use only artificial intelligence tools. Doesn't matter what you want, what will you use. It shouldn't be necessarily those that already was in the company. You can't even imagine what happened at this situation, because most of them, of course, they have their beloved video games, and most of the tech people, they love to play in the video games, and they started to fight. They started to communicate with each other strongly, and they started to bring their personal expertise in different AI tools. Let's use this one. Let's use this one. They started to share different things, different interesting founds that they had. And it was amazing. It was very interesting. And of course, they have a time for it, for this experiment, and they have the rewards as the result of it, for the kind of team reward. And before that, we really know what to present them. And it was fantastic. At the end of this experiment, they started to use the common space very easily, because again, they were able to know how each of them are using artificial intelligence tool. And based on this, you already know how your coworker will use it, and you know how to organize your job, your part of the job, to make it easier for them.
It's peer learning.
Huh?
It's peer learning at the same time as collaboration, team building.
Absolutely. And yeah, I know probably, Jake, you will say me something like, what is about the speed? Because we really don't have a lot of time for this. And you emphasized it for the several times that they need to run fastly. But different research and my own experience shown us that if you will just dedicate a little bit time for the soft experiment and without the high level of expectation, you will run faster in the future.
Yeah, I'm definitely addicted to speed. So it's funny you're calling me out on that, because a lot of these bigger companies can't move as fast, and it is more of a gradual integration. I'm just seeing how fast these technologies are adapting, and it's just been profound to see industries getting taken over, and just the ways in which these AIs have been integrated. It's been crazy. So
okay, my question was,
you remember it?
I just remembered it. Let me say it before I forget it again.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was thinking about like a really kind of big company that they have their own data that they want to protect and all that stuff. So how do you implement AI for a company like that versus like a small company? Like, I know like they have other data restrictions, like they have to use local LLM models maybe, or something like that.
So I didn't work with a really huge companies yet, specifically the technological company, because I think it will be most interesting case. I have, but we can just speak together with you if I will have case like this. What will I do here?
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. In big companies, you have this bureaucracy thing, and also you always have this competition between the different departments and different leaders. Because, for example, integration of AI solution in one part of organization will definitely kill several departments, and of course, leaders don't want to do it. They don't want to have less budget for their development, and in any corporation, the amount of the budget that you have as a leader, that's mean your real power. That's mean, your level of influence. And this is the main thing why corporation developing slower when any startups. At the same time, big companies, they have a huge advantage because they're able to hire the best professionals on the market. And unfortunately, startups don't have this privilege. I'm not speaking about startup like OpenAI because this is already not the startup. In spite, it's formally startup. But in general, they have this advantage. And if, for example, huge company have the privilege really to replace those people who don't really want to do something in those way that company need. And here, I think it will be even easier because you have so many people that you can involve in your internal AI revolution at your company. And I believe that here you can follow the typical innovation cycle. You should start with those people who will be the ambassador of the change that you want to provide, and then to create something like I mentioned, like creation of common employee experience, how we can roll it out, in the organization. And trust me, in each department, you will find people who would like to be involved in it, who really understand the meaning of it, or who use it in a high level in their personal life. And you will involve these people, and they should be the ambassador of the change. And each organization have people like this, and they know it about who is the informal leader or something like this. But the challenging thing here is still how you will educate your people to work in those level of professionalism that you need. And if you have a really highly development T&D department, it will be easier. If you don't have, so it probably can be a challenge. But guys, I strongly believe that in our era, psychological and coaching knowledge, they are not working without the deep understanding of the human neurophysiology. Because Jake, I can understand why you feel this necessity to run fastly, because our brain unable to develop with the same speed like artificial intelligence tools are developing. And we really feel this FOMO, that, oh my God, something new is happening all the time, and I'm unable to run with the same speed. And you just started to work successfully with the Lovable, and look at this. Anthropic give us another release, another space where we can do even more amazing and impressive things. And you need to change and really learn just several times per day, not even every day. And in this case, I believe that, of course, you need to do everything that's necessary to keep your adaptability skills in a high level to support yourself neurophysiologically. And there are a lot of tips for this in internet, and I can provide several of them. But at the same time, I think we need to accept that we're unable to develop with the same speed. We're unable to be as fast as artificial intelligence. And in this case, we can just relax and enjoy on what's going on and do what we really love and interested in for our life and for our business. And in this case, you have more chances not to lose your position on the market. This is kind of thing that I believe in.
That's a fair assessment. So, Marina, who are your clients typically? Like what types of businesses do you specifically help? And what are some key signs that show that that they should really consider working with you?
Thank you so much for this question. So I'm working on the both sides. I'm working with those companies who are facing with some challenges in implementation of artificial intelligence tools, specifically for the human perspective. At the same time, my clients is those startups that creating a solution for somebody who would like to implement their artificial intelligence tools, because sometimes they need some knowledge how to help their client to integrate the solution, as in my example with logistic business. This is the business owners, technological startups, C-level managers from the medium size or huge size corporation. I didn't have an experience, but I really would like. So please, you are there, they're welcome. And the best sign is when you see that your expectation about the AI integration or all another change that you provided in the company didn't bring you those results that you expected, and you see that you are losing the money that you invested in this innovation. In this case, you can come to me and we can speak, and I believe that we can find those solutions that will work for you and for your people.
Love it. Amazing.
I'm curious, what tools do you use in your day-to-day in terms
You
of
mean
AI?
personally?
Yeah.
God, all of them. I like
Or
this.
professionally. What are the highlights? I mean, obviously we try a lot of things, but what are the ones that stuck? And how do you use them?
It depends on before the Perplexity suggested kind of the solution like the AI quorum. I had this quorum by my own. I mean, I just sent the same prompt for OpenAI, Perplexity, Claude, and right now Gemini. Gemini is really good right now, and I love their new lab. We are building for my emails for some kind of outreach. We're building a small agent of NN8. I really love Lovable, but my try to build my app wasn't successful, probably because my idea was a little bit complicated. I'm right now researching the new release from the Anthropic, because Cloud is one of my most favorite model, I believe, and Claude and everything that they're providing. And I know that they right now release something really, really impressive, and I just would like to do it. Also, I'm a part of the Perplexity Fellowship, and that's why I have an access for the best tools for a year, and I really love them. I love Perplexity interface and user experience. I can say that they really have a chance to be on the top, but after Google released the Gemini, I think they are not in a very good position for now. But I still love this product, and I'm a little bit loyal for this product. And of course, various of different solutions that integrated AI tools, like, I don't know, everything, everybody have it right now, like Notion, Figma, everything that you mentioned. But in general, this is the AI agent builders, Gemini, Perplexity Max. I have the Max, Gemini. Also, I have Max, and of course, ChatGPT, OpenAI.
Awesome. You should give Codex a try and Claude Code. And for what you said, we're kind of building an AI platform similar to what you described that we'll share with you and our listeners pretty soon. But on the other end of the spectrum, so that's what you use personally. What would you recommend? Like a list of tools, use this for this, use this for our listeners and for the founders and the builders. What tools do you recommend they use for different things?
Of course, it depends of what you want. I think Gemini right now covering the main requests from like casual needs, like to create video, to create picture, to find information. If, for example, I forget to mention about it, if I need kind of social media information, I'm asking Grok. Another thing that I will recommend to you, you can start communication with any artificial intelligence tool. It's not artificial intelligence, it's LLM models, if to be clear here. Just start to speak and try to learn, not based on kind of the courses on the Coursera or something like this. Learn speaking with this tool. For example, go to Claude and say, okay, I saw that you have these new releases. Can you tell me a little bit about what it's about? Can you please be my coach here, be my guide, whatever it is? And
you can simply ask it, what can you do? And it will tell you.
And then learn me to do it, and you will find the best solution for you. It again, it depends on you, because different people they have better experience only because the user interface, not because the model are better, etc. Some people don't like Claude just because the interface and prefer some kind of Perplexity. If we're speaking about the level of the code and vibe coding, Claude right now is the best, I suppose, but we'll see what will be in the future. Gemini is not so bad as well, if to be honest. And I really like the competition with each other, because it's given us very, very good products for the very, very low price yet. And I believe that this situation will change in the future.
Yeah.
So jump up there.
Yeah, it feels like
All right,
superpower.
awesome. Thanks for all the suggestions. And yeah, for anyone listening, take notes.
So, Marina, how can people find you if they want to learn more about what you do and integrating AI into their businesses? Where can they easily reach you?
Thank you so much, Jake, for this opportunity. Please reach me on LinkedIn, Marina Morgan, San Francisco. I'm the only one with this information. Or you can easily request a call on my website, themorganimpact.com, and we will speak about what you need. And of course, listen to the podcast.
Right.
Awesome.
Well, Marina, thank you so much. Thank you so much for hopping on. This was a pleasure. It was really fun. Just a super fun chat about AI. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having
Awesome.
me.
And yeah, for anyone listening, check us out on scalingadventures.com. And yeah, you'll be able to see the other episodes and learn more about us. And again, Marina, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast with us. It was a lovely chat.